movie guy, and in today's video, this is part 3 of ranking all the horror movie franchises. Again, with us in this video is the horror movie Uncle,
Hello.
and let's get into it. First movie we got today is VHS. I've
Okay.
not seen.
Yeah. Okay. So VHS is it's a franchise which is it's an anthology franchise. Which for those of you who aren't familiar with anthology movies, sort of like Creep Show, it's made up of
It's a
each
different
movie.
story.
Yeah, each movie is made up of individual stories that make it part of the whole movie. VHS is done in the style of the person is watching different VHS tapes. I know that there are 4 or 5 of these now, but I've only seen the first 3. And of those 3 that I've seen, the first 2 are actually really good. I wasn't the biggest fan of the third one. But I would say it. I would say C.
C. Alright. Next we got The Conjuring.
Which you
I have not
seen any of The Conjuring. Okay, so The Conjuring. There's actually a lot of movies in the Conjuring franchise, and it's sort of based on the real life story of Ed and Lorraine Warren, who were like ghost hunters or mediums or whatever back in the 70s and the 80s, who were, quote unquote real. And they investigated stuff. But yeah, so that's what that's based on. There's quite a few in that franchise. And so, yeah, there's the main Conjuring movies, and then there's the Annabelle movies and the Nun movies that are all in that one franchise. They're solid. They're not anything spectacular, so I would say C.
C. Alright. Now we have Zombieland. I've seen both Zombieland movies, and I liked them. I mean, definitely not S tier. I'll probably put them in B.
B? Yeah.
B. I mean, like, it's not anything crazy. It's a zombie movie, but, like, funny.
Yeah.
It's a good...
I think so, yeah. I mean,
not as good as, like, these, but, like...
comedic, and they're fun. But, yeah.
Yeah. Now we have some... I don't know how to say that.
Yeah. I think that is Ringu.
Ringu?
Now, I could be wrong. I don't speak Japanese, but if I'm wrong, somebody can correct me in the comments, but I believe that that's Ringu, which is the original Japanese version of the ring. And there are, I think, 4 in the original version of that franchise. There's been quite a few other ones that have come out since that I don't know if they're officially considered part of the original franchise, but if you know what the ring is, you know what Ringu is. It's just the original Japanese version. Now, I personally prefer Ringu to the American version of the ring, and so I would have to put it all the way up in B.
B.
Again, if I'm wrong, which I could be, somebody can correct me.
Alright. Now I have Silent Hill.
Silent Hill, it's a zombie thing. It is based on the video game series. I have seen the movies, but I do not remember it at all. The only thing I can remember is that it's about zombies.
Alright. Now we got Gremlins. I've seen both Gremlins movies, and I think the horror movie Uncle would agree with me. I'm going to put it in A.
A, definitely. Definitely A. Guys, Gremlins is something that's worth your time.
Yeah.
It's a little bit comedic, but there's honestly some genuine scares in there. But if you put on either Gremlins movies, Gremlins or Gremlins 2, you're gonna have a fun time.
Yeah. Now we got House on Haunted Hill.
Okay, I know for a fact that I have seen the remake, and I think I have seen the original of House on Haunted Hill, but I cannot for the life of me remember.
Now we have Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Which you've seen?
I've not seen.
You've not seen. Okay. Invasion of the Body Snatchers is actually kind of interesting to call it a franchise, considering that each movie is actually just a version of the same story. So they kind of just remake this movie every 20 years. There's a version of it in the 50s. The most famous version is probably the one in the 70s with Donald Sutherland and Leonard Nimoy. And then there's a movie in the 90s, and then there's also one, I think, in the mid 2000s as well. But I think on the strength of, it's an alien invasion movie. On the strength of the one in the 70s, I think it gets up to, I would say A, actually. A, yeah. You really have to see the one from the 70s.
Alright, next we have Jack Frost.
Which you
I've
have
not
not?
seen.
You've not seen. Okay, yeah, Jack Frost, kind of similar to Ginger Dead Man and Child's Play. It's about a serial killer who, through magic or science or a little bit of both, somehow ends up embodying a snowman. And if that sounds ridiculous, it's because it is. And the movie is crazy, and the sequel is even more crazy. But it's fun, and I would say C.
C. And next we have Jurassic Park. I honestly don't think this is a horror movie.
I don't think it's a horror movie either.
I mean, they're great.
I mean, yeah, they're great movies.
They're good movies, but not
it's
necessarily
just not horror. But I mean, obviously, it's at least A.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna put it in. But
it's
not.
It's not horror.
It's yeah.
I mean, it's Jurassic Park,
so it's an A in regular movies. So
not too crazy about the most recent entries in it.
Yeah,
but
the last one kind of sucked.
But yeah.
Alright, now we have
Piranha. Yeah, I have seen the first one, which is, Piranha is sort of like a Jaws ripoff, except with piranhas instead of shark. I've seen the first one. I have seen the second one, which, interestingly enough, the Piranha 2 is actually directed by James Cameron, who would go on to do Terminator and Titanic and so forth. And then there were a couple of remakes made in the 2000s, which I think I had seen one of those. But for what it is, I think it's D.
D. Alright. Now we have Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving is a movie that I've always meant to watch, but I never have.
I've not seen it either. Now we have My Bloody Valentine.
Okay. Yeah, which you have not seen? Okay. Yeah, My Bloody Valentine, it is a slasher movie that takes place on Valentine's Day. There is an original and a remake. Both have merits, honestly. The original is pretty good. The remake is, for a remake, actually pretty decent. So, overall, I would say B.
B. Alright. It's a process trying to get this.
Yeah, get it into the right spot.
Alright, now we have The Descent.
The Descent, which you have not.
I've not
You've
seen.
not seen. Okay, so The Descent, kind of interesting. It takes place in a cave, and there's monsters in the cave, but really where the horror comes from is that the people are trapped in the cave, and it's sort of claustrophobic, and you don't really know where you are, or if there's going to be a huge drop off, or if you're going to be able to find your way out of the cave. So yeah, the original Descent is really good. I'm not crazy about the sequel, so I would say C.
Alright. Now we have Sharktopus.
Never seen it.
Me either. Now we have The Mummy. I've seen the first Mummy movie.
Yeah.
I don't really remember
What
it.
you don't remember?
I saw it a long time ago.
Yeah. So I think if they're referring to the Brendan Fraser Mummy, um, then I mean that's a little bit more action than it is horror. But I mean they're fun movies. If they're referring to like the Universal monster movie Mummy, or if they're just talking about all of them, the Universal ones, the Brendan Fraser ones, the one with Tom Cruise, um, then I mean that's a lot, obviously. But I think I mean if we're just sticking with the Brendan Fraser ones, those are solid. So I would say B.
B. B. Alright, now we have Happy Death Day. I've seen both Happy Death Days, and I'm honestly gonna put it in A.
Yeah.
The first one's really good, and the sequel's really good too.
Yeah. Honestly, these are really, really fun movies. These are slashers with a little bit of a twist to them, sort of a supernatural or maybe sci-fi twist, depending on what you think. But yeah, these are a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now we have Quarantine.
Quarantine, which if you watched, I think either the first or the second one of these, the first one, I talked about Wreck. Quarantine is the American remake of Wreck. That being said, for a remake, it's not terrible. It's not as good as Wreck. And then I did see Quarantine 2, but the only thing that I remember about Quarantine 2 is something about an airport or something like that. So I don't really remember it very well. I think that it goes in D.
In D.
Yeah.
Now you have Sinister.
Which you have not.
I have not seen.
You've not
Sinister.
seen. Okay, Sinister. Kind of an interesting movie. It's got Ethan Hawke in it. It's about a true crime writer who rents a house where some kind of terrible thing happened. I'm going by memory. It's a little bit. I don't remember exactly what it is, but he finds these old 16 millimeter film canisters that he watches, and that's about all I remember about it. It's not, honestly, it's not very memorable. The sequel is even less memorable, even though I've seen it. It's F.
F. Now you have The Strangers.
The Strangers, which you have
I've
not
seen.
Yeah, The Strangers. Honestly, it's a little bit. It's a home invasion horror movie. Guys, it is. There's some genuinely terrifying moments in the first Strangers movie. If you're at all scared of like, somebody entering into your house, this movie will get to you. So I think that this gets to B.
B. Alright, now we have Black Christmas, and I've seen the first Black Christmas.
Yeah. Black Christmas. It is a slasher movie that takes place on Christmas.
Yep.
There is the original Black Christmas. They did a remake in the 2000s, which is okay. And then they did a remake in 2019, which is absolutely god awful. But on the strength of the original film, I think honestly it has to go in S.
I agree with that. The first, the one I saw, which I think was the original, it was so good. I think that's it. That's us.
Yeah, if you hear something in the background, I think somebody's moving furniture.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I think they might be vacuuming or something.
Okay.
All right, next we got Pet Cemetery, which I've not seen, but I know like what happens.
Yeah, Pet Cemetery. It's based on a Stephen King novel. There is obviously an enchanted pet cemetery. You guys probably know the gist of it. There is a original and a remake and a sequel to the original, I believe. The original is really good. I really did not care for the sequel, or not the sequel. I didn't care for the remake at all. Um, but I think on the strength of the original, it gets to at least B.
B. Alright. Well, now they're moving furniture. Next is Ghostbusters S.
S.
I mean, if you've seen Ghostbusters, if you haven't seen Ghostbusters, watch it. Like,
Yeah, watch it right
what are
now,
you doing on this
and
channel?
then come back to this video and watch the rest of the video.
Ghostbusters is so good.
Yeah.
And then AVP, Alien vs. Predator.
Okay. So yeah, these should have stayed separate. It's an F.
Alright. Now we have A Haunted House.
I don't know.
Alright.
Honestly, I don't know.
Now we have Raz, not to be confused with Riz, but Raz.
I don't know Raz either.
47 meters down.
I have not seen 47 meters down.
So we got a lot of don't knows.
Yeah.
Unfriended.
Unfriended. I have seen the original Unfriended. It is pretty standard found footage, like techno found footage stuff. It's F.
F. Alright, next we got Frankenstein.
Okay, so Frankenstein, there's a lot of movies in Frankenstein. You have the original 1930s Universal Monster Frankenstein. You have the 90s Frankenstein with Robert De Niro and Kenneth Branagh. You have some of the more recent Frankensteins that have come out with Daniel Radcliffe and so forth and everything. Overall, I think it gets to B.
B.
Have you seen any Frankenstein?
I've not seen any Frankenstein.
You should see at least some of them. Yeah.
Alright, next we have Goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Have you seen those movies?
I have not seen the movies. I did grow up watching the original Goosebumps TV show.
I've seen the show. But I think it's talking about the two movies. Probably.
Yeah, this is a movies thing. So I haven't seen the movies. So
finally, I have one that you've not seen.
Wow.
So Goosebumps, first one, it's an average film. Sequel, I don't really remember the sequel all that well. Overall, it's probably a C. It's not that great, but I watched the first one recently and there's laughs. It's okay.
Yeah.
Now we have The Dentist.
The Dentist. So picture what a dentist horror movie would be, and that's what it is. So, except there's a little bit of like humor going on there. It's not like taking itself 100% seriously. There's two movies, The Dentist and The Dentist 2. I really like it. I'm gonna say A.
Right.
Yeah.
Alright. And now we got The Shining.
I've seen
like The Shining, but I've not seen Doctor Sleep. I think that's what the newer one's called. But based on the original S.
Yes.
Like, also, if you've not seen The Shining,
yeah,
go watch that after you watch Ghostbusters, and then
and then also, yeah, I have seen Doctor Sleep. I wasn't the biggest fan of it. It's definitely a well-made movie, but I just honestly, it's just not for me. And then also, if we're talking about the franchise, there is a TV movie from the '90s that sticks a little bit closer to Stephen King's original novel. It's more of a curiosity than anything else. It's not really worth watching.
Alright, I think we're gonna do one more for today's video, which is 28 Days Later, which is a zombie movie.
Yeah, 28 Days Later, which you have
I've not seen.
not seen. Okay. So, yeah, it's a zombie outbreak movie, or an infected people movie.
Is that what they call them or something?
That's kind of a joke. An infected people movie. Um, and so there's 28 Days Later, and then there's 28 Weeks Later.
Yeah.
28 Days Later is awesome. It's a fantastic film. So yeah, 28 Weeks Later, not the greatest thing in the world, but not terrible. I think that it gets to A. Yeah.
Alright, and now, so that will be it for today's video. I know this one's maybe a little bit shorter than usual, but I think we want to save the rest of these for part 4, which will be the final one. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Leave your comments if you have any opinions on these movies. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.